Record.
It's interesting that we both went for that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
The ding was a bit like a microwave being done. I quite enjoyed that. Sorry, Chris. I wasn't ready to start.
Hello.
I mean, I'm ready to start.
Hello.
But
What?
I keep trying to start and Kev keeps talking.
I'm totally ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to
completely-
episode 204
hello.
of the
204.
I was going to say Oscar Media.
Oh, wow. Old school.
The Sixth Axis podcast.
Should we start recording again?
The Sixth Axis podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 204 of the TheSixthAxis podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Kris. Joining me this week is the editor in Nothing. He doesn't edit anything. It's Kev Adset. You right, Kev?
You don't know that I don't edit anything.
Do you edit anything?
So much. Like, I'm always editing.
That's a lie.
I never get anything else done.
That's
I'm
a
always
lie.
too busy
You're telling a
editing.
lie right now.
I mean, well, I could edit.
Excellent. Also, it's that teacher man. It's Lewis. You right, Lewis?
Oh, he must have disconnected.
Let's just wait. Just wait. His own time he's wasting.
And the listeners' time.
Well, they'll probably get this bit cut out.
Or will they?
Just wait.
Just so
Hello.
that... Right.
There we go.
Sorry, got a bit of Skype connection issues there. Got a bit of a delay.
That's definitely
Satellite delay.
also a lie.
Hmm.
A lot of lies going on this week. Heavily lie based. Right. Twitter allows Joanna.
That wasn't a lie. What are you talking about?
Joanna says hello. Time for the
It's going to be
news.
hard to take that game any further than you have taken it so
Yeah,
far.
I'm going to run out
Yeah.
of
All right.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah. Totes.
News.
Right.
News.
HTC Vive.
News.
It was maybe going to come out this year. Now it's coming out next year. Anyone care?
What did you just say?
I care very much about the virtual reality as a industry. You know, I'm really interested to see what happens with it, but I think that's fine.
It's
That
basically
is
when,
fine.
what if it came at the same time as all the other VR headsets? Because that seems like a fabulous idea.
What about instead of getting like the lead on the market, we just sort of go in right in the middle there?
Yeah, same time as
See-
everyone else. Really crowd the marketplace, lead to a lot of consumer confusion.
Well, you sure you don't want, like, you know, early adopters kind of taking on your technology or anything like that? No. We'll just we'll go right in the middle and we'll blow that market wide open. I imagine was how the board of directors had that conversation.
Just make sure everyone's they're just uncertain.
Yeah, well, there's so much information about VR and what is good, what isn't good. Am I going to get sick? I'm not sure. Ooh. Better stick it right in all of that just to clarify, if anything, clarify the message.
I am. I forgot what I was going to say.
Totally
Right.
excited about the future of virtual reality.
Yeah, that. No, what I remember. I got one of those like immerse headsets that you put your phone into.
Oh, cardboard,
Right.
yeah.
Which I know
The Google Cardboard type ones.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was plastic.
No, but yeah, the
I-
technology's still called Google Cardboard.
Yeah, same thing. I know it's not proper like VR and stuff, but I did the roller coaster thing. Sick to my stomach.
Did you actually? Were you actually sick?
Sick. I wasn't sick, but I was absolutely.
I will say, like, the cardboard
nauseous.
stuff is actually really impressive. Even when you're just using it with, like, because you can just use it with Street View and just be looking around in
Yeah.
Street View, and even with that, it's actually pretty solid.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I was very impressed by the tech of it
Yeah.
all, but I just the roller coaster one in particular really
Yeah,
made me feel
it will do.
queasy.
I hope that I am not a person who gets sickness from VR, because I'm really excited about VR and I'd be ashamed to just be like, nope, it's not for you.
Opens up a whole new range of products for pharmaceutical
Absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. You remember Star Wars 1313, that Star Wars game that got announced a while back?
Nope.
Nope.
It looked really cool, and it was kind of like, I guess a little bit like if Uncharted was Star Wars, seemed to be what they were going
Oh
for.
yes,
Where
yes,
you play
yes,
like
yes.
a
Remember this
bounty
at all.
hunter / criminal kind of guy.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and then Disney bought Star Wars, and they were like, "We're not making that with Disney. We don't make proper games. We make Disney Infinity, and that's it."
You can have a bobblehead Star Wars character in your Disney Infinity, and that is it.
Yeah, or we make Battlefront, and then people were kind of like, "I guess it's like good, but I'd like a campaign." And like, no, you'll have what you're given.
DICE made Battlefront, right?
Yeah, but it's still Disney licensing it, right?
Yeah,
like Disney are in
like-
charge. Disney didn't just go, "Oh, Dice, you made this Battlefront game. Probably just release it, I guess."
That IP belongs to us. Give it to us. You're cheating.
That would be a good way, though.
We've made this awesome Star Wars game. So, what do you think about that? I think the license belongs to us. You'll hear from our lawyers soon.
Yeah, it turns out EA are just really bad. They're just bad at this stuff.
We didn't. Is that how that works? I had no idea. We just really
I
like
reckon
Star
they were
Wars, so
trying to release it surreptitiously,
Mm.
and maybe hope that the Star Wars brand doesn't gain any attention.
What with it having like 8080s in and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, it's real subtle.
It's not an 8080, it's an 80TT.
Ah, okay.
And the little ones are 80XTs.
What?
It's not an X-wing, it's a cross-wing.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
That's what Lewis is implying, that it's all off-brand to get around Star Wars licensing, you see.
Oh, I see.
That's-
Like the
that's
Pro
the joke.
Evo of the
That's
Star
the
Wars.
joke there. Yeah.
Sorry, it's difficult to concentrate on your conversation and watch this Star Wars 1313 trailer at the same
Yeah.
time.
Anyway, apparently it might be...
Darth Vader? Yes, Darth Vader is here. Quick, somebody get Luke Skywalker.
Starkiller, of course, was the original surname. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Anyway,
That's Guardians of the Galaxy now, isn't it?
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, that's the one.
Starkiller is the Force Unleashed guy,
Spaceballs.
isn't he? Isn't he called Starkiller?
yeah, I think he is.
Isn't one of them
But that
from,
was-
like Spaceballs?
But it's such a bad name.
Yeah.
And look at it work.
The
It works for
Skywalker's so much better.
It works for like the guy, right? It works for the guy in the Force. What is it? The Force Unleashed?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't.
Yeah, because he's bad and it's got killer in the name. So.
It doesn't really work for like the hero of your trilogy. Anyway,
I remember playing Force Unleashed, thinking, "Who is that guy?" Because I recognised him, and then it took me ages because he obviously just didn't bother to look up on the internet. And he was the guy. He's the guy from Myst.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
Ah, that's who he is.
Because I played that and didn't recognise it or anything. And then, I don't know, like a year or 2 years later, I was watching the remake of Battlestar Galactica. And I was like, I really recognise that guy. Who is that guy? So this is real life actual actor. And I was like, hang on a minute. Isn't that Starkiller? And I thought that's a real sign of the times, that I recognise a real life person from his CGI version.
Yeah, and they certainly picked someone with a distinctive face.
Yeah.
I remember like 5 minutes ago we were talking about Star Wars 1313.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Kathleen Kennedy, who's the head of Lucasfilm, said, "So our attitude is we don't want to throw any of that stuff away. It's gold. It's something we're spending a lot of time looking at, pouring through, discussing. And we may very well develop those things further. We definitely want to." She said all of that, including like tripping over her own words. It's weird that they transcribed that.
Well, you did very well to get that across very literally.
So basically, Star Wars 1313 confirmed. That's what I'm taking that quote to mean. That incredibly ambiguous, maybe we'll do a thing. Yeah.
Which basically translates to, we've already done it.
Yeah,
Wait
I guess
and
we
see.
could look into that. Guys, where I go?
They're asking questions about it still.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those incredibly ambiguous exec answers that, like, oh god, they ask about a thing I don't really know. We're looking at stuff. Yeah. Right. Moving on. Remember that was like the PlayStation experience this weekend. That happened. It was a thing.
There's a lot of virtual reality stuff, wasn't there?
Yeah, we're not talking about any of that
All right,
because I've declared.
cool.
Right, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, it's episodic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to talk about.
Yeah, look, I know some news. That's good.
Yeah, you well done there, Kev. It looks fucking awesome because they showed a gameplay trailer. Looks awesome. It does actually look really cool, and I like the overhaul to the combat system. It seems like it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
On the other
Is
hand,
it just me that has no interest in Final Fantasy?
I don't have that much.
Final
interest in
Fantasy
Final Fantasy.
VII holds more interest than Final Fantasy as a whole to me. Like Final Fantasy VII was like one of the first games I had on the PlayStation 1. So it's it's got a particular,
Also,
love
like,
from me.
I didn't finish Final Fantasy VII because I think one of the discs was broken on the copy I had because I got it like pre-owned, and so I didn't finish it. And it feels like a game you should finish. Like it feels like it's one of those important ones.
Yeah, I never finished it either, but Sai, my brother, did, and I watched him do it.
Yeah,
mostly. But yeah, there's still definite holes in my knowledge of it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what that's about. But that said, I've still never played an episodic game. So that's the counter side to this news. Well, this is the news, but that it's episodic, and a lot of people aren't happy about that.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't happy, but basically Square Enix were like, we can't do it as one release. Like, for a start, it's just impractical from a cost perspective, which is perfectly reasonable, I think. And secondly,
like, we don't have a budget to make the entire thing, but we'll see how this one sells, and if it sells well, then we can carry on making it.
Yeah, but also I think they're basically also you realize it won't fit on one Blu-ray, right? Like which is not a great reason because you can make the whole thing and split it.
Yeah, but remember that time you released the exact same game on the technology that was available then, and that had multiple discs.
Yeah, but still, it's still there. When you take that into account, it kind of makes sense to make it episodic when they're just like, this is more cost efficient and we're going to have to split it over multiple discs anyway. Because it turns out it's fucking huge.
The thing that I read, a comment that I read that made me go, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that, was a huge part of Final Fantasy VII was like, it had this open world bit, the world map. Like that was quite amazing and quite like huge for the time. And like, I can't imagine how that's going to work if it's episodic. I can't see there being an open world source bit that's just like, no, you can't go there. That's next time.
Bits of it are blocked off in Final 37 though, aren't they? When you play it,
maybe I can't remember.
Because I don't think you can get to. I think it's the same. I don't think you can get to the disc 2 stuff.
Okay.
Until you've done enough of disc 1, because I think there's like something in the way.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not positive. That is also Pokemon with Snorlax, so that could be what I'm thinking of. Remember in the first Pokemon, there's like the Snorlax, and you can't get past him till you go and get the thing. You have to go and get like the flute and wake him up. Yeah.
Yes.
Which that's probably not what happens in Final Fantasy VII. That would be weird.
Probably not. As long as they've got the Chocobo theme.
That's all anyone really cares about. It's more like, has Cloud got a ridiculously impractical sword that, when viewed in full proper 3D, makes you think that like...
he's also really skinny.
That
like,
seems really dumb.
He's kind of muscular, but he's a really skinny kind of muscular. And it's like, he can't be that strong. I mean, that has got to weigh a lot, as swords go.
But you're like, well, it's over-accentuating in the original game because it fits the art style. But when you view it in full 3D, you're like, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all the swords in Final Fantasy series look kind of dumb. There's like that one sword that's also a gun. That seems pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, episodic
people... It does look beautiful, though.
It does look awesome. It looks amazing. It looks... I it looks absolutely incredible, and they are doing a very good job with that remake. And I can understand why people are annoyed it's episodic, but I'd kind of rather it was episodic. I think it will encourage more people to play it because it makes it seem less intimidating.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if they're like, here's like 100 hours, play it. Whereas they're like, here's like a few, in a couple of months, we'll give you a few more hours. You're like, ooh, that seems manageable.
Yeah. And for people like us who are like, oh yeah, it means something to me, but I never got to play it all the first time around, like you say, I think that might have a different draw from that side of things as well, because I don't know, like I say, I've never bought an episodic game ever. I don't know why. There's been plenty of recommendations, and some that I actually wanted to buy or wanted to play, but just didn't. And I'm not really sure what that obstacle is for me, but yeah, we'll see.
All right. Remember the PlayStation 2?
I do, yeah.
Lewis?
Yeah, vaguely.
Remember how it had like discs and stuff?
Yeah, you put them in the disc slot, and then the games loaded, or alternatively the DVDs loaded, depending on what kind of disc you put in. I guess music CDs probably worked as well.
Yeah, you press that button and the slidey thing came out.
Oh, the tray?
The tray, yeah. Or if you had a slim.
Ooh, yeah, no button, no tray to slide out, was there? Just open it at the top. Yeah.
Yep.
So what if you could play those PS2 games on your PS4, except that you can't use the discs you've already got and you've got to buy them again and re-download them?
No thanks.
I don't have any PS2 discs, so that would be my only option anyway.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, you can do that. That's the thing now. There are PS2 games available on the PS4. Was it like 8?
Well, all the games?
No, just some.
What ones?
So these were announced at the PlayStation Experience, and I believe they are now available. They are all being up-rendered to 1080p graphics. They will have trophy support. And there's kind of a weird thing where like some of the American version, and then they got like the 50 hertz, 60 hertz thing, and that makes things go odd apparently. But I think they're working on that. It's a technical issue. Anyway, you can currently get Dark Cloud, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Rogue Galaxy, The Mark of Kris, War of the Monsters, and Twisted Metal Black. That's what you can get.
I like Twisted Metal.
Yeah, and those GTA games
never played it.
Like,
You never played Twisted Metal?
I don't think so.
Vice City's pretty good, right?
And San Andreas is one of the
I
best
don't
games
like San
ever
Andreas
made.
that much. Like,
Right.
I like
Yeah,
Vice
it
City
was-
more.
I was going to say I really like San Andreas, maybe the most out of all of the GTAs, but I finished Vice City and I finished 5, and that was it in terms of GTAs that I finished.
I think what I like about Vice... Like, I'm not saying San Andreas is bad. San Andreas is clearly a very good game. But my thing with Vice City is it still felt quite tight, which makes it feel a bit more manageable. And for me, San Andreas was the point where it kind of tipped a little bit too much towards RPG. And that's kind of where I didn't like that. Like, you can level up your strength and stuff. Although it was kind of cool at the time that you actually like went to the gym and did stuff like that.
Yeah, and you physically changed.
Yeah, that was all pretty neat. That was actually really interesting for the time.
And going to the club to do the dancing games
to
some, old school Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre.
Yeah, I think
that was amazing.
I think San Andreas is probably like the first game in the current lineage of GTA.
Yes. Yeah.
Like where
Totes.
GTA 3 and Vice City kind of feel quite different to San Andreas, and then what came after that. But those are pretty good games, and if you like PS2 games, you should get them. Probably get like the GTA games, really. Don't get the others. Maybe Twisted Metal. Right, who likes Destiny?
No, well, I used to.
Do you like the sparrows that are in it?
Yeah.
What if you could race them?
Yeah, I guess that'd be pretty fun.
So you can do that now. That's in Destiny. There's like Sparrow Racing League.
No, that's pretty cool.
I was half expecting you to turn around and go, well, you still can't.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's not going to bring me back to Destiny at this point, I don't think. I feel like my time with the game is past.
What if, though, for some reason, they were like, oh, we gave you Sparrow Racing for 3 weeks?
Well, that would seem ridiculous.
Because that's kind of what they did.
Just leave it in there. Mind you, they do that with Iron Banner as well.
Yeah,
don't
so
they?
it seems like they're going to rotate it through. But even so, that seems super weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
Because it seems like less of an event than the other stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's
just
more of like a mini game.
Well, it's like we've all got these sparrows, and sometimes you can race them.
Yeah.
What? But why can't we race them now? Nope. Don't race them. The racing time is over. Put the sparrow down.
I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of neat because all the racetracks are in enemy territory, so there's like guys taking pot shots at you and stuff, according to Tef. On the other hand, it seems like a dumb place to put a racetrack. Seems like that's poorly thought out.
I guess they were short on options.
Like, Earth is pretty safe, right? From what I've seen of Destiny. Yeah?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Like, would you not just put the racetrack in like a safe place?
Maybe there aren't any safe places.
Oh god, it all is terrible. That's not good. Did anyone like Ni no Kuni, the first one?
I only played the demo. Quite liked it though.
Lewis?
I don't understand what you just said.
Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. To give it its full title.
No.
It's like a second one. It's called Revenant Kingdom. It looks alright.
Oh.
It's like the first one, but again, and it's different. There you go.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Cool.
But yeah, it was rather unexpected announcement, and like the first Ni no Kuni is pretty neat, and it has that Studio Ghibli aesthetic, and that seems like it's carried over here, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. And I'm on board with this. Yeah. I didn't replay the first one, but I am on board with anything Studio Ghibli make, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. I will say the only thing that really bugged me is the audio mix in the trailer's terrible, so it's really hard to hear what anyone's saying.
Oh, that's weird.
It's kind of annoying. Like, this seems like you could have fixed this. Right? Oh, you know how I said I wasn't going to say anything about VR?
Yeah.
That was a lie. Let's talk about VR.
Yay, VR.
Alright. Did you see there's a game where you're a dolphin in VR and then you're like in a test and you cheat on the test, but if your teacher catches you, you lose?
That sounds ridiculous.
That's a game. Hey,
what?
It's called Classroom Aquatic. You're a foreign exchange diver student spending a semester abroad in school for dolphins.
Is that the one where I saw a picture of a dolphin sat at a school
test?
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. There you'll be given a series of tests that you're in no way prepared for. The only way to pass is to cheat. Avoid being caught by teachers. Don't let your fellow students tattle on you and cheat your way to the top of the class. I'm pretty sure this has appeared on Oculus as well. And it seems super fucking crazy, but also kind of awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'll reserve judgment on that one, I think. But
yeah, so apparently you've got different people invigilating the exams, and they've all got different styles. So Professor Porpoise will patrols the class to prevent anyone peeking at other people's papers. Well, Dr. Delphinidae, this seems like they're just trolling my ability to not pronounce things.
To be fair, that's not very difficult.
It's true. Sits at her desk and surveys the class. It sounds like it's a silly VR experiment, but kind of fun. And kind of, if you think about it, like a weird twist on a stealth game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of is.
On a test game. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's all the news. There was probably more, but like, there's a lot of podcasts so far. So we should probably stop doing the news and do a different thing. So it's time for what we did. So like right now there's no games out, and that's kind of irritating for this bit, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be. Everyone's got shitloads on the go, aren't they?
Yeah.
So much on the go.
There's Just Cause 3, Assassin's Creed London, whatever
Syndicate.
it's called. That's the one.
I'd like that it would just be called Assassin's Creed London. In fact, if they could all just rename to do that, that would be kind of easy. Like Assassin's Creed Italy
Rome.
1, Assassin's Creed Italy 2.
That does feel like that's probably the point where they've given up, though.
I just think it'd be easier. Like they've all got.
It would certainly be easier.
To be fair, they gave up a long time ago looking at some of the other ones recently.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't argue that it wouldn't be easier, but it does also
Assassin's Creed. What was the one that was on mobile?
Assassin's Creed Mobile.
Assassin's Creed Mobile. Yeah, that's the one.
Sorted.
Although there is an Assassin's Creed Mobile as well. That's different, I think.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Mobile 2.
You do feel though, if it got to that point, Ubisoft have basically just gone
Assassin's Creed More Mobile. There you go.
But if you got to that point, you do feel Ubisoft are basically going, "Nah, fuck it."
Yeah.
Well, people are still buying them. Is the tagline.
Assassin's Creed Cash Cow.
Yeah. I like that you started that as a joke and then went, "No, it's tag." You're like, yep, all right, cool. Yeah. At least they're upfront about it.
I changed my mind about what I was doing.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
That's pretty much what Ubisoft do.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got anything new to play at the minute, because basically I'm poor, it turns out. I've got Volume because it was quite cheap, and I hadn't played it yet. I really liked Thomas Was Alone, so I thought I'd give this a try. And Lewis, you were telling me that you've played it, but a little while ago now.
I haven't played it either.
I played it when it first came out.
I'm the same boat as you. I played Thomas Was Alone. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Thomas Was Alone. Yeah.
On the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed it, but then haven't gone on to the difficult second album.
Yeah. I played Volume when it first came out, and I'm the opposite in that I haven't played Thomas Was Alone.
Okay. I mean, you don't really need to play Thomas Was Alone because they are very different games.
No, I know. But yeah.
So I kind of I quite liked it. I found it quite interesting. I like the gameplay, but I think the performances from the voice actors are a little bit underwhelming in places.
Interesting.
I concur.
Danny Wallace is good at some points and quite bad at others. He's quite variable, but I think the guy who plays I believe his name's Robin, the main character.
Robin of Locksley.
Yeah, Robin Locksley. Yeah, because
it's Robin Hood, right?
Yeah, it's the most thinly veiled Robin Hood allegory.
I don't think it is.
I wouldn't even say it's thinly veiled.
Yeah,
it's out there. It's pretty much just in your face.
Yeah. I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was kind of billed as like Robin Hood retold.
It kind of is, but at no point does anyone mention this seems a lot like Robin Hood. Yeah. But it's I thought some of the voice acting is a little bit weak, and some of the performances are a little bit weak and underwhelming. But it does get better towards the end. But it's never brilliant. I assume you agree, Lewis.
Yeah, I thought it was. I don't want to say it because it sounds really horrible, and I'm aware of all the hard work that goes into it. But it felt a bit average to me. I agree with you. The voice acting wasn't very good, and at some points it seemed a bit try hard. I liked some of the dialogue and the scripting because obviously that's what Thomas Was Alone was sort of famous for. I liked some of it, but again, other parts of it fell a bit short and fell a bit. Like I say, again, it seemed a bit try hard.
Yeah. I do think though the overall story is quite good.
Yeah. I did like that, and I love the art style.
The art style's really cool.
I love the polygonal art style, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And
also how it's justified in game.
Yes.
Because you're playing in basically like a VR environment, but they're kind of talking about how it's meant to be a combat simulator, so it's not meant to look like hyper realistic. It's just meant to be like, here's how you move through environments and stuff.
But I like cool. when you get found or when you get shot, and like there's a radius around your character.
Yeah.
If you're like a spherical radius, shall we say? And it sort of blows all the environment and all the triangles, and sort of warps all that. I really like the look of that. The other thing that I noticed, and I've noticed it with a few games recently, is that bearing in mind that most people now will have a fairly big HD TV, all singing, all dancing, and that, and that's I couldn't read half of it. Because when you got a level, you've got the synopsis of the story so far and the next bit, and I just couldn't read it. And I know that sounds really trivial, but
no, I think that's a perfectly reasonable complaint.
When there's loads of text to read, especially when because they put on subtitles, and because I like to, just in case I'm listening to something or doing something else, I like to be able to read it and make sure I'm still up with it. But the fact that you have to move really close to the TV to actually see them and read them, I just found that a bit of a pain in the arse. And I think because I missed some, probably, I felt a lack of engagement with the story and with the game in as a whole. Yeah,
I think they might have fixed that because I didn't run into that issue. They might have resolved it with a patch. I will say I quite liked though the text snippets you get in the game that do a much better job of telling you the background than other stuff does. Because normally you get kind of like emails and stuff that really explicitly set the game world up. And I like saying shit that you would never say in an email because people know that. Like the people writing the email are not explaining to you. If I wrote an email to you, I'm not contextualizing the whole of British society at present. That would be really fucking weird, right?
That does sound like something you would do, though.
Yeah, but that's because I'm weird.
If anyone was going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not how people write emails in general. And here, like, the emails are presented in a much more naturalistic kind of way, I felt. It toys with some interesting ideas, particularly around artificial intelligence emergence and civil rights on both the artificial intelligence side and humanities side, and also the interplay of humanity and AI is quite interesting in the game, I think. It's definitely got some interesting themes, but we'll talk about the gameplay. As you said, like the stuff you get visually when you get shot and stuff's really interesting. But I really like the tools it gives you, which I found much more interesting than most stealth games, where you've got like the distraction tools and that.
Yeah, like the trumpet. Or
there's like a trumpet thing and
a whistle and a yo-yo type thing that you throw bounces around the wall.
Yeah. And there's one where you can like send a decoy out. Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah.
That said though, even with all those bits and bobs, there was something that just stopped me from getting into it, and I just felt like it all became a very samey.
I can, like, although I enjoyed it all the way through, I can absolutely see what you mean. It feels, and actually my flatmate said this because he doesn't really play games, but he was walking past while I was playing it, And it was like, oh, is this Metal Gear Solid? Like the VR ones, I played that as a kid. And it does look a lot like, looks like and plays very similarly to, in some ways, the Metal Gear Solid VR missions.
But again, those, because that is a reference that a lot of people have picked up on, and I think there was even talk of him saying it, admitting that it was inspiration and stuff. But I would rather play the MGS VR missions because there's something about them that was a bit more fun and a bit more engrossing for me personally. And like I say, I did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I sound very negative, but I did enjoy it. It just felt like it was part of a bigger game. It didn't feel like a full game to me.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from there. But I also think that they've now got announced that they've got, I forget what it's called, but they've got a VR, like not quite sequel, but kind of DLC type thing. So it's set after the main game. I think it's called Redux, maybe.
See, I reckon that it would definitely suit VR.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting in VR. But it's also nice because of the way we don't obviously want to spoil it, but because of the way the story ends, it very much leaves itself open for what happens next. But what's quite interesting is that they are actually moving you to a character who is an adversary of Rob, which is quite cool. I think, and not many stories do that when you really think about it. There's not in like any medium that the sequel is following the other side. And I think that's quite an interesting approach to it, and that should be quite fun. But we'll also open up the possibility to see, because a lot of it is, because we say it's Robin Hood, so you're combating the government a lot of the time. So presumably if you're playing as someone on the government side, you've got more of a chance to see more of this society in the near future, and that should be quite cool.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. I definitely take your criticisms, and I think they are reasonable. But I managed to overcome some of those issues. And personally, the most interesting part of it for me is it does one of the most realistic portrayals of the emergence of artificial intelligence that any game has done, or any story's done, where it's kind of treated as how all revolutionary technology is. That there are people who are against it initially, but it also becomes absorbed as part of daily life and commercialized relatively quickly. And the fact that you see elements of commercialization where there's literally you find emails that are talking to a voice actress who's coming in to provide the voice work for a new artificial intelligence. I think that's pretty cool because that gives you the kind of insight that a lot of stuff doesn't bother with. But it's a really good point. Like most games don't deal with, hey, here's this new technology. Like, how is it actually getting applied in the real world? How is it being commercialized? And it really is here. I also think, was the movie called Her? That's got the AI phone?
The one with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, that seems quite similar in some ways.
See, that's because Ex Machina deals with it brilliantly as well. Really, really well done. And also, to an extent, Fallout 4 has got a big AI plotline, and that that deals with how they're accepted into the world. And I know it's a bit more fantasy based, if you like, but yeah, they got a big storyline about how it's incorporated, how people's attitudes change, and its practical use within the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big subject.
It is.
I read a really good article about it the other day with that group of high-profile people like Zuckerberg and all that lot that have signed that I want to say petition, but it's more like a protocol to have a kill switch.
Yes.
For AI, and it's really interesting. It was scary to think we got to the point where they're now signing up for a kill switch because they're just so terrified of AI getting so far that they're just going to have to shut it all down. It's like, oh, crap. What if the AI get wind of the kill switch and then, get to it first?
Well,
secretly make us think they're stupider than they are.
Well, that's it's kind of the problem with the classic, the classic AI in a box problem.
No.
So basically, the idea is if you want to make a super intelligent AI, you obviously don't want it to be able to escape onto the internet, right? Because it will just self-replicate. So what you do is you put it in like a secure room with like what are those electrically magnetic shielded cages called? Do you know what I mean?
Faraday
cage around it, so no signals can get in or out, etc. And you make it as secure as possible. But the problem is, right, any sufficiently intelligent being, whether it's artificial or not, is going to be able to convince the people interacting with it to release it. It's going to be able to talk you into releasing it into the wild. And the only solution to that is not to engage with it. And if you're not engaging with it, why the fuck did you build the thing?
And also, I always think, at what point does it go from being artificial intelligence to being intelligent? Because yes, it will start off with what we program it, but it will learn.
Very deep question.
When does artificial intelligence become intelligence?
There's also this really interesting question with it, which is like you build an AI and all this kind of thing, but particularly when you're still in the artificial stage, and you need to program it with some sense of morality. But how do you do that? Like, how do you instill the morals in something without biasing it with your own morality and assuming your own morality is the correct one?
That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's incredibly difficult.
The light questions this week on...
Yeah. And again, I know it makes it seem a bit trivial, but I don't mean to. But there was a bit in Fallout 4 that made me laugh, because you go into there's this city that is entirely run by robots, and it's designed as like a storefront for robots. But it's a working city with buildings and cafes and stuff. And I went into a cafe, and this robot comes up and it says, "Have a seat. Will how would you like your breakfast served? Would you like to be served chopped, diced, and all that lot?" And then because you answer the question, it attacks you, and then you get onto a computer and it says, "I don't think these units are fit for purpose just yet. The instructions aren't clear enough." And that made me laugh, because it was that thing. It was that sort of play on, they've been programmed to serve breakfast chopped, but are taking that as they need to chop up the people eating breakfast. And that was, like I say, I don't mean to make it trivialize what you were saying, but it reminded me of that, which I found quite funny.
Very similar. There's also this interesting question that if you were to create any artificial intelligence at all, is it not essentially tantamount to torture? Because even if you create one and you're engaging with it every second of the day, like a second of your time is, say, like a 100,000 subjective seconds for the artificial intelligence at the speed it thinks.
Oh, right, okay, yep.
Is that not like essentially torture? And imagine, this is a great point that someone made. Imagine if you, as like Kev knows this, when you're a software developer, you quite often at the end of the day like set a build process off, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, just build that and it'll be done when I come back in the morning. Imagine you did that and it emerged as an AI, and by the time you come in the morning and you're like, oh cool, I made an AI, it's suffered like a millennia of subjective time of just being completely alone. Would it not be utterly insane?
Yeah, maybe. Our build processes only take a few minutes at a time, so we tend to
look at you, la-di-da.
Quite
and also, but I don't, because at what point do you think, does the computer care? This is a humanoid interpretation of something they don't understand. So we might be thinking, wow, if that was us, we'd be spending millions of, And
the thing about humans, alone, right, is we just project our own ideas onto everything. Yeah. Like, we put dogs in bloody jumpers, like they want to keep warm from the cold, because using a jumper that compresses their skin on all sides.
For all we know, you tell a computer to build something and it's like, yes, this is what I was made to do. Step back, people. I got this. Yep. Leave me be. I mean, we're perfectly happy.
We don't have the ability to empathize with anything that isn't human, because we only know human.
Oh, absolutely.
There we go. We fixed the world.
Done. Moving on, Kev, you played Lost Within, which is a game from Amazon, but it's on an iPhone.
That is true. It's an Amazon Game Studio games, not necessarily.
I kind of always assumed with them that they would just be like, "Oh, we make them for our thing."
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice that they're going, "No, you can have them." I got it as part of a bundle with that game I mentioned ages ago that was about like locks, a puzzle game in a haunted house where you had locks and keys with different shapes and rooms that have different things. Anyway, this is a much more serious thing. You play as it's first person. It's a sort of horror survival game, and you play as a detective or a cop of some kind who goes to an asylum, as you do, because it's going to be demolished, and you're charged with like having to make sure there's no one in it, basically, before it gets destroyed. So you've got to go in and just check that it's all clear. But you quite quickly start hearing voices, like a kid's voice. So then you have to figure out what's going on there. And then stuff starts getting a bit dangerous, and you're like, oh, I better get out of this asylum. This is silly. Let's go and get some backup. And then, of course, you fall through the rotten floor and can't get out. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this as a sort of general asylum trope, but it seems to be all the ways the way. You know,
not just an asylum trope. That's my life trope. That is.
You go in, you go, oh, hang on, buildings. This is a bit hairy. I better get out. And they're like, no, you can't get out. See, because a thing happened, so you better find a way to get out. And then
it's pretty much exactly how Outlast runs.
Yeah, and even how this other Amazon Games game that I was speaking about before, which isn't Until Dawn, it's got a name that's exactly synonymous with Until Dawn. Till Morning's Light.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, it's the same there as well. Like she's like, "Oh, I better get out," and then her friends shout her out, and then she can't. Whatever. But yeah, like it's pretty tense. Like it's I've not played much in the way of horror. I don't really like horror games because I don't really like the emotion fear. I don't like experiencing that, so I tend to avoid that sort of thing. But I thought I'd give it a go because it was in this bundle and I hadn't played it. So as I said, it's first person. The controls, for some reason, are like defaulted to not invert the axis, which means that like all your kind of Google Street View training on your phone is reversed, which is weird. So if you swipe right, it looked right, it just feels wrong. It feels like if you swipe right, it should look left. Maybe that's just me, but they have an option to inverse the controls anyway, so it was quickly remedied. But it's just weird that the default would be the one that people aren't used to using for like all their kind of general phone navigation conventions. But yeah, you can invert both X and Y, so it's not a problem. You tap on the screen in various locations to move there, and you can double tap to sprint there, but you've only got a certain amount of stamina before you have to stop sprinting. So you tend to save the sprinting for when something scary happens and you inevitably need to sprint. As the game goes on, and I should preface this whole thing by saying I've played the prologue, which is 3 chapters, and there are the prologue plus 3 episodes included in this. So I'm only, an hour into it. But as you move into the game, at some points you're kind of randomly sucked back in time, and the asylum, which is all kind of dingy and broken, and there's graffiti on the walls and everything, is then like pristine, and you can hear the voices of doctors and stuff. And so you start to unravel the picture of what's happened here. And there's kind of documents and dossiers and various things you can pick up. And there's a crafting system, which I've only used once, but you kind of pick up items and it's very simple. It's just like, oh, you want a medikit, you need 2 bandages and a gauze, and then you can make one, and then you do. And then you have health, which I thought, okay, cool, that's how I get health. But then
I kind of liked how you summarised that there, Kev.
Yeah, well, that's how you make a medikit.
You go to make a medikit, and then you do.
Yeah. So, but then the next thing I picked up was a health kit, so I didn't need to do any of the crafting stuff, which is a bit weird. But yeah, it's been quite jumpy in a couple of places. I was wearing my headphones. I think it's one of these games that you have to kind of fully immerse yourself in, especially because it's on a phone. It's very easy to sort of be distracted or look up from it, and then like you're lost in the from the immersion. There's a couple of moments where it was like, oh yeah, it's a game, because like it's an iPhone game, so kind of textures weren't very high fidelity and that sort of thing when you get too close. But it completely follows that same Outlast paradigm of just hide in the lockers with the slots in, and you can just see out of them. So yeah, I don't know if it's doing much that I haven't seen in other games, but it does it all relatively professionally. Like, it's quite polished. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the story does. Like, it's kind of there's this doctor, the madman of Madhouse or something weird, the Madhouse Madman, and like you as a character occasionally talking to yourself, and it's like, oh, the Madhouse Madman is real. So yeah, there's like clearly kind of a lot of fiction and lore has gone into it. So
that's nice for a mobile game.
Yeah, like it seems quite deep and detailed, whilst the gameplay is still relatively pick up and play. There's a quite nice mechanic where using the phone's accelerometer, which obviously you can't do on console games, where you can like look around the corner by tilting the phone.
Oh yeah,
and that works quite nicely with the general touchscreen controls, which again are like a lot more responsive than like a control stick, because you can just like swipe and you're it responds as much as you'd expect any native Apple like scrolling to respond and that sort of thing. So you can kind of control it really quickly. Sometimes maybe to the detriment, the controls can be a little fiddly, especially when it's like tap to move and sort of swipe to rotate, or like drag to rotate. It can be a little fiddly, like exactly ending up where you intend to and looking in the right direction. But most of the times it's fine. So I can't remember how much this is as a one-off. I think the bundle together was $4.50, which is pretty good value for the two games that you get. Like, they're both quite deep and will keep you, should you want to, keep you going for a good few hours. So yeah, that I haven't really played enough of it to give a better summary than that.
That's reasonable. It sounds really good though. Sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very tense. Like the creatures, the inhabitants of the madhouse have properly made me jump a couple of times.
That's good. I will say that's actually really impressive immersion for a mobile game.
When they walk, they make this noise, but then like, I don't know, maybe it's that the tech isn't quite good enough, but like, or maybe it's just a design choice, but you can still hear that noise from really far away, and so you don't know if they're like right round the corner or if they're all the way down the corridor. You can get an item which is sort of like shows you where they are through the walls for a limited time, but like the kind of fear factor makes you use them all up really quickly, and so you're just like, oh, is it there? I'm just gonna check. Oh no, he's really far away. Great, waste. So yeah, it's worth a go, especially if like you're into horror games and that sort of thing, because it seems like probably the best mobile version of that genre of game that I've played. That, with the caveat that I haven't played very many of that genre. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to change gears. Lewis, tell us about books. Which book do you want to talk about? You've got Futuristic Violence or Fancy Suits. Pick one.
No. The book's called Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits.
Oh, well, tell us about that one then.
Pick that one then.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, it wasn't clear from your wording.
Sorry, well, I apologise. Next time I will use an ampersand.
Ampersand.
Ampersand. I've always called it an ampersand.
Incorrect, it turns out.
No, but sounds better, doesn't it?
Debatable.
Yeah, no, I read. So I'm continuing my sort of whatever. And I've read.
Great.
Your quest to read a lot of books.
That's the one. I just can't be asked to finish sentences lately.
Yeah, I'm sure the kids at school are loving that.
Yeah, and that's right. Today we're going to learn about. Fuck it, it's playtime. Yeah, no. So I'm continuing my quest on reading shitloads. And I have recently finished Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits, which is by David Wong, who some of you may know as the guy behind John Dies in the End.
Spoilers.
And yeah, that is the name of the book, I'm afraid, and there is a film. So Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits takes place in a futuristic America, where they are currently in a city called Tabula Rasa, and the S is spelt with a $sign because it's like Las Vegas, but even more lawless and even more fucked up. So basically, the premise is that there's this girl called Zoe Ash who lives out in a trailer park somewhere out in the sticks, and her father dies, who she doesn't know, her estranged father dies, and leaves her his entire estate, which is billions and billions of dollars. But with that comes a lot of enemies because he's a bit of a criminal. And it's based around his last venture, which was to invest in technology that people can put into themselves and become superhuman. And obviously, there's a lot of criminal gangs wanting that technology so that they can be the best on the block. So it's basically just a crime story, but the setting makes for a very funny book because David Wong's a very funny writer anyway. But just quite odd and quirky. It's got people that are just out for revenge or out for the fun of it and are blowing people up and chopping off their heads and all sorts. It's quite a gory book as well. But yeah, it's very good. I recommend. I would say on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give it a 4. Mainly because of the humour that's in it. I think I've tweeted out a couple of sentences that have really made me giggle. But it's got a great feel to it, and the world's set up really well. You really get a feel for this Tabula Rasa city being quite a metropolis for drugs, prostitution, crime, and all sorts. It's like Gotham on speed.
Wow.
So yeah, you get this real sense of just a manic place, and the fact that it's that this woman Zoe Ash has taken over her father's billions and stuff, and the criminals that are trying to get at her and get at her father's money and stuff, they're also extremely wealthy. So it's like it's got this real decadence to it because they can all just afford the real big fancy cars, and as the name suggests, they can afford fancy suits and the big houses and the big HQs and stuff. So it's quite unique in that sense because money is no object. So it does get a bit ridiculous at times with some of the guns and weapons and things that they've got and technology. But it's really, really well done, really well paced. And like I say, the main draw for me was its humour. And just to give you an example, I think one of the sentences I sort of tweeted out that really made me giggle was something simple, but it was like Zoe didn't want to be paranoid, but the man in the loincloth made of dolls' heads was making her a bit nervous. And it just made me chuckle, and then he turns out to be a psychopath anyway.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, as you would have thought. Yeah, so I really recommend that one. That's what I read after Ready Player One, and I've just started The Axeman's Jazz, so I will be able to tell you about that one later as well. But yeah, there's so much going on in it that I don't even think I can do it justice, even if I was to talk about it for an hour. It's quite twisty-turny, lots of characters. But yeah, go and read it. It's definitely worth a read.
Definitely. I can't think of all the books you've read are probably worth a read. You do a good job of describing them.
Which was the one that was had that paragraph about the girl thinking she was sinking?
Oh, the knee deep.
Yeah, the knee deep thing.
That's that one.
That is in that.
Creased me up.
Yeah.
That's the I don't know if you didn't listen a couple of days ago. I'll see if I can find it. Hang on, bear with me 2 seconds. Yeah, the one that is from the start of that story, and she's being chased by a psychopath known as the Hyena. And if you read the book, there's a really funny build up to him because she's watching a documentary about hyenas on TV, and they're talking about the fact that they give birth through their penises. And then you get the view from the hyena, and he's saying, "Shall I call myself the hyena? But what if people think I give birth through my penis?" And then he's thinking, "I'll be the piranha, I'll be the shark, I'll be all that and the other." So there's a really funny build up with just based around his name. But yeah, then there's a chase sequence, and it's snowy and icy where she is. So it says, "She was in freefall, the world gone beneath her feet. It happened in slow motion. First, she felt the stabbing freeze of the ice water swallowing her feet, then her calves, then her knees. Then the bitter, frigid depths engulfed her knees, and then her knees. This was the point, so he realised the water this close to shore was only knee deep."
I like it.
And like, it's just little.
The way it's written is quite.
Yeah, it's just so.
When I first read you, because I think you tweeted it as well, and when I first read it, I thought you'd made a mistake, and then like carried on reading. It was good. It's
it just seems. But there's loads of sentences where comments like that are just thrown in as if it's really nonchalant and it's a normal sentence. So it's really well written and perfectly crafted because, like I say, there are loads of sentences where you just get a real giggle out of them because it's almost like a throwaway comment, but it's so funny and it doesn't dwell on it. It doesn't go like, "Ba-dum-tsh, made a joke." It's just like done and dusted. So yeah, go and read that one. Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits by David Wong.
Cool.
Kev, you making a game again for one game a month game?
That is true.
What are you making? You don't have a playable demo, so I was deeply disappointed.
Well, no, that's true. Also, yeah, given that it's Christmas month and it's currently, as of time of recording, the 10th of December, I've probably got about a period of a week and a half of development. But hey, let's give it a go. So this month's theme is Quest Giver. Quest Giver. So my brother Simon and myself have come up with an idea for a sort of heroic agency that matches people who need quests to people who want to do quests. It's sort of like, if you imagine a fantasy version of Papers, Please, in a way. Like, people come up to the booth and they'll be like, "Hey, I've got boglins in my swamp." And you're like, "I'll see if I've got the correct hero for that sort of task." And then you do that. So the idea is that you have like a reputation as a hiring a hero for hire stand. I was thinking, well, actually, my colleague Gav said it should probably be called HR Hero Resources, which I quite liked. So yeah, your reputation dictates what sort of people come to you saying like, "I want to do quests," and they have stats, and then like the missions themselves have kind of stats behind the scenes, and so heroes are more or less likely to succeed in the mission. And like they take a cut based on how good they are, and I don't know, it's not fully designed yet, but basically the idea is that at its core you have a list of quests that need doing. You have a selection of potential heroes, and you either pass or you fail the things. And your reputation, if it goes down too far, then you have to close and go out of business. And if you go up, then you get to attract better heroes who can complete harder quests, which gets you more money. I'm not sure what the money does yet. Definitely need to have something to spend money on. Maybe like upgrading your agency or something. Don't know. But like I remember in Theme Park by Bullfrog, there was like end of year financial reports and all that sort of thing. And you can totally imagine like competing against other hero agencies, and if your reputation goes too low, then like people start defecting. So maybe there's some sort of like hero satisfaction management in there. All of this stuff is like massively scope creepy. So at its core, it's just going to be like matching heroes to quests and upgrading your reputation so you can do better quests with better heroes. What do you think?
Sounds very fancy.
Would that sound like a sort of game you might be interested in playing? Does that excite you as
Yes.
an idea?
No, it does definitely. I'm still waiting for guests on iPhone consoles and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was thinking actually next year, rather than carrying on doing a game a month, although this will be my 4th game a month this year, so clearly haven't been doing too well. But it being the 12th month, of course, I might revisit all of the games that I've made and spend another month on each of them to see what I can make, see like where I can develop them further.
That's cool.
I don't know yet, but yeah.
And then keep doing that every year until you can release one of them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's a very convoluted development process.
Yeah.
To be fair, you could release guests now. I want it.
You really couldn't. Like,
I love guests.
Thing. I mean, thank you. That's very kind. But it's like it's the life.
You genuinely could. You could sell that for like 69p on the App Store without any changes, and it'd be like, yeah, well, 69p. Go over it.
Yeah, you've played it. Well done. You got what you paid for. You may now delete this app. That is all we want from you. We're not here to monetize.
You got to beat the time.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But no, the new one sounds really good.
Yeah, it does. I'd play that.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you don't think it's a terrible idea, because that I haven't actually started developing it yet, and that would really put a damper on my confidence.
Set you up for fail.
Yeah. So yeah, I've made a list of like the things we definitely need in the game, and then like a prioritized list of the stuff that would be cool to have in the game, based out of the brainstorm that we did. The milestone 1 is like a hero can go on a quest and get a pass or fail result If I get that by the end of this week, by the end of the weekend, then I'll be sorted.
That seems a very achievable goal.
Yeah. I'm not sure what milestone 2 is yet. The next thing I need to do to give the listeners a behind-the-scenes view into the game development process is do a screenflow where I just draw on rough paper exactly what like the flow of the game will be, because it really forces you to flesh it all out before you get started and jump in on the programming.
No, actually, let the designer do that.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I'm doing all of that, all of the stuff, all of the jobs.
Nah, just get a designer. Just be like, "Oi, designer, design it."
What? I mean, I am one for my job, so I feel like I should probably do some of that stuff, as in the hobby aspect of it too.
Suppose.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna get maybe 2 weeks worth of work before Christmas, if that, because it's busy time of year and there's lots to be done. Got to go to London and do the Christmas shopping and all that stuff, haven't you? So,
do you
have to go to London? It's not compulsory.
Just do it on like Amazon.
Well, it's quite nice in London at Christmas time.
No, it's not.
Well,
I guess that's inaccurate.
It's probably nice is a subjective thing, though, isn't it? So difficult to argue.
Everywhere apart from my house is pretty much terrible.
Yeah, well, it might be terrible. Who knows? I mean, London is occasionally terrible and occasionally wonderful. And we shall see. I'll report back next week, which it was.
London's just terrible. I might be going to the BET conference thingy, though.
The BT conference?
The BET.
What's that then?
It's like all the latest computer and gadgets and stuff. Like Lego have a big stand there with all their latest stuff. And I think I'm going obviously for the school as an educational thing, just to see what they're offering and what we can thieve. But apparently it's a big show.
Cool. You love going to London with big shows.
Yeah, my head teacher came and asked me and said, "Do you want to go to the BET conference with me?" And I was, first of all, I turned around and went, "I know you're probably not asking me this, but the only BET knowledge I have is the Black Entertainment Television Awards. I'm fairly certain you're not asking me to go to them."
Would you like?
And then she said, "I know it'll be a massive crowd, and I know you don't like crowds, but would you be up for it?" And I said, to be honest, the biggest issue will be the tube.
Mm-hmm. And you've done that now, haven't you? So you can cross that one.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I want to do it again.
But
yeah, so hopefully that'll be quite cool.
Question time.
Oh, right.
Question time.
Giovanna says, anyone excited about Ace Combat 7?
Don't mock him just because he's Polish. That's bang out of order.
About what?
Ace Combat 7.
Nah. Ace Combat 7. I don't know what that is.
I used to love Ace
Combat. It's like the plane game.
The plane game.
That game has got planes in it.
Ace Combat when on the PS2 or whatever it was. Loved it. Thought it was brilliant. So I'll be looking at it just to see if I can relive some of the nostalgia or if it's actually any good.
I kind of like some of them, but yeah, I don't know. They work if you can get like a thrust stick and stuff. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm not that.
No, I'm not that guy either. But it does make them way better.
That's my dad.
Yeah. And then other question. Mr. Jimmy would like to know what justifies the price of PSVR.
VR.
The newness of the technology, I would argue. Not saying that the price is nice or fun or like something that we necessarily want, but it's like it's first generation of new tech, so the price is always going to be big.
I kind of think what justifies it is the virtualness of the reality.
So if anything, you can consider it a virtual price.
If it was
reality is free.
I was saying if it was normal reality, you wouldn't be paying anything.
Oh. I think it is a bit pricey to start with. I think, but like Kev said, it's the start price of it.
Yeah,
the early
exactly.
adopters and the keynos, they'll be paying it. But most people will probably just hold fire a bit. Not even so much the price for me. I would hold fire personally and wait for a game that makes genuine use of a VR rather than one where that's on rails and you just have a look round. I'd be looking for that game that innovates the VR.
I also say that. Well, firstly, I was talking to Teth earlier today about Eve Valkyrie, and that probably does it. Which is like full 3D space shooter, not on rails. And you can use the Oculus head tracking.
Is that PlayStation?
No,
VR?
It's on Oculus. But you can use the Oculus head tracking, and then if you look at a ship, that's how you lock onto it. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So that's a good use for it. But yeah, I think it's the early adopter thing, and also, and I've complained about the pricing before, but I do think if you genuinely think about it, they're pricing it. They're saying it's going to be priced at like a console tier pricing.
Have they actually announced the price?
No, but they've kind of said that's the range we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And although that is very expensive, and I think probably it's too expensive for new technology, on the other hand, I think it's very easy to see it as being genuinely a new platform.
Yeah.
Like, I know, yes, you need a PS4 and then this as well, so it's like, yeah, it's effectively a new console, but I only need to have this other console to play it. But on the other hand, like, it seems like it could be a genuinely new platform, like something really new and interesting and different.
Yeah.
And that's probably worth that pricing tier, you know?
Yeah, I wonder. I was thinking, like, what price would it have to be for me to get it? Because, like, I'm already most of the way. Like, I've got 2 Move controllers and the Eye, and so like,
make it like the price of a sandwich.
Well, sure, I'd probably get it then for sure.
Might buy a sandwich instead. I'd probably get distracted on the way to the shop.
Damn it! I spent my VR money on a sandwich.
It's the problem is like the game. It's just past Subway, and you're like, ah, shit.
Yeah. There is a potential to spend, a few £100 in Subway as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think
not
if it was,
easily.
If
it would
was
take
more,
it would be effort.
More than £150.
Oh, that's an effort I'm willing to put in, though.
I think what's the Subway's like £5. You could buy 20 sandwiches.
Yeah. I'll have 20-foot-long Subway melts, please, with gherkins, red onion, lettuce, and mayonnaise. Toast it, cheese, done.
I think they'd hate you.
I don't care. I'd be paying for it. They can fucking do what they're paid to do.
Yeah. I wonder if they'd say no.
Then I'll buy however many they can supply, and then find the next Subway.
Walk to the next Subway with a bag already full of Subways.
I will just completely
quite got
dry
enough
up the stocks of the local Subways.
Yeah. All right, that's good to do it.
Sorry, we haven't got any more Italian herbs and cheese bread because some guy bought millions of them.
He just bought them all. Bought all the bread. Even the stuff we didn't bake yet, he just bought the raw bread. It was weird.
Yeah. He even offered me the oven.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the podcast. You can get previous episodes at TheSixthAxis.com. If you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet us on TSA Podcast, or you can email us at podcast@TheSixthAxis.com. You can also get the podcast on Stitcher and iTunes and on YouTube. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, you can get me on Twitter as HalPro. It's HALB Pro. You can get Kev's Kevin Tron 400, and you get Lewis as Lewis Gaston. But that is going to do it for this week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.
I went really upbeat there, and you both went quite calm. It's an interesting dichotomy.
Playing it fast and loose with the word interesting.
The Sixth Axis Podcast.